Kia ora e te whānau. Wow, this is what we're making today. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who have come back to join me, welcome, welcome. Whether you're here to do the come make with me, whether you're here to just make the page with your own stash, whether you're here and you've got the come make with me and you're making it with the same things that I am, I'm happy to have you. Whether you're just here to have me on in the background, that's fine too. And this guy here that we're making today is our #1 most picked page. So that's that guy. I think I got him pretty close. And that's what we'll be making today. So we will make this journaling tag, journaling card. We'll make some barn doors. And there's a pocket there as well. So this masterboard, I've made sure that I've mentioned in the video what number that is, because you guys, if you've got the Come Make With Me folder, you've got all the coffee dyed lace patterns, so I've told you which number that is coming up. And you've got this masterboard, and you've got a photo of my Nan and Pop, and you've got my typewriter version of the 3 words beloved, together and devoted. And I will show you all the people that chose this. And just a little heads up, next week I'm going to take a 1-week break, so next Saturday's video won't be the love letters and lace Come Make With Me. I've just got a little video where I'm going to show you the cool books that I managed to get from the book fair in Palmerston North, and then the following week we'll be right back into this. I've had a hugely busy week at school and I'm chasing my tail a little bit, so I'll be back in a week with the love letters and lace. Alright, let's get making. Okay, my lovely, so all I have started with is coffee dyed piece of paper, and I have printed on there the light coffee dyed lace number 26. That's already in your Come Make With Me folder if you've got it. Then I have printed this masterboard. This is on matte photo paper, and then I have just backed it with some glue stick and another piece of coffee dyed paper. And I am missing a little bit there, so I'll make sure that we use that side for the pocket. So this here is just going to be our page that we're going to stick it on. So that's going to be our folio for this one. And what we want is, we want our barn doors just to be slightly, give us a little bit of room. So no measurements, I'm just going to come in a little bit, and I need to cut about there. So pop that in, and then what does that measure? Oh, look, exactly 14. So I'm going to need to cut that in half again. I will just do a teeny tiny little mark there and chop that guy in half. And I'll just check top and bottom, make sure that fits. Yep, and I'm just going to trim just a little bit off the bottom there of each, because at the moment it's just slightly longer than my coffee dyed paper. So just to here. Looking good, so I've got a little bit of a gap around the outside. Okay, I'm just going to ink around those and I'll be back. Now feel free, that's obviously if you want it to look like one whole piece. I actually prefer it so that it doesn't look like one piece, so you can make up your mind there. Now we need the little flaps for the barn door, so pockets, I'm just going to, this is our leftover piece, so this is 10 centimeters here, which I think is about 4 inches. So I've just made a little mark there, but it doesn't need to be exact. All this cut is how far up you want your pocket to go, and then you want to have an angle. So yep, perfect cut there, and then this one is going to be there, so we'll cut those first. Then we get rid of my little bit that wasn't quite covering the paper. Then all you need to do is make sure that when they fit, you just come down the same on this side as you do on the other. So we're going to go 5 there. Match these guys up so that that line is exactly the same, and then you're just going to cut up to there and up to there. And if you want to, just move that out of the way, you can always do yourself a line to cut along. I probably, knowing me, would have just done it by eye on the original, but let's be kinder to you guys. Just show you how to do the line. Right. So then we just and at this point, if you want to put the lace on and you do want to sew it, then do that now before you glue them onto there. Wonder if that'll be enough to fit. Yep, should be. Just get my glue. So I might just go across there. One done. Just rub off all my extra glue, and then I will just pop it onto the side as well. You can use any lace, crochet, anything you like. There's definitely a different lace that I put on the last time. That guy there needs just a little bit of glue. Okay. Okay, now we definitely need a quick ink. Now, the gluing, we don't want to glue this part. We just glue there and there, because that's the part that the actual piece will slip down into. So I go a decent amount of glue on the bottom. Then just line that guy up. And it's probably better that this lines up with this edge. You can trim anything you need to off that edge. And then again, decent amount of glue along the bottom. Up the side, and then you just need to glue that to there. Again, just make sure that these are, that's the most important part, that these meet here. There we go. Now you can make this barn door in one piece. The only reason I didn't is because in my original I didn't want to cover up the page that it was going on to. So we could have made it out of the whole thing. Instead, we are just going to stick them on like that. So now all you need is some old book paper. Anything you've got, music paper, you name it, and we're just going to make a little hinge for each side of this guy here. Okay, so I'm just going to go and grab some music paper and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm just going to rip the page out at random. If you haven't got music paper, let me know. I can always put, if you've got the Come Make With Me, I have got some music that I have already scanned, so I could easily pop some of that in. So all we need to do, but I think most, let me know, do most of you have music paper already? I feel like it's a reasonably common thing that we can source for our junk journals. It's not one of the harder things to find anyway, but I'd be really interested to know if that's the same, because I know that's the way in New Zealand. Music paper can be quite easy to come across. Well, where I live it is, but I'd be really interested to know if some of you actually really struggle to find old music. Okay, so all that is, as you can see, it's just a folded piece of paper. I do like how the music paper, oh no, not only does it kind of last, but it seems to be slightly thicker, which for the hinge mechanism I think's quite a good idea. So I'm just really quickly going to ink those, because you know me, I can't not ink things. But when I say quickly, I mean really quickly. And now all you're going to do is you're going to fold that. It doesn't even have to go the full way. It doesn't matter if it's slightly short, but let's do it the full way. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the needle out of the top of the glue for a start. And then I'm just going to glue this side onto the actual barn door first, so that it's nice and neat and straight on there. And I don't want to see that hinge popping out on this side, but I do want it as close to the edge as I can possibly get it. So if we just check that side, there we go. Just don't want to do exactly the same thing to the other side. Okay, and now we just need to glue these onto here. So I just want to kind of center it, so I'll just check how much space I've got. Right, so it's about there. I'm going to leave that one there. I'm going to pull this guy off. Now glue this side of our fold. Most important bit would be to make sure you get right to the edge on this side. Make sure there's glue all the way down. And then while I hold that there, I'm just going to butt that up and then place it down so that I know it's going to line up straight. then I've got my marker, so when I do this side, again, just make sure you've got glue as close to the edge on that side. This side doesn't matter as much. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to match those up as best I can, and I'm just going to place it down. And then they sit nicely together even though they're not one whole fold. Hopefully that helps. And then we will have still have our background page in the middle. We've got a little bit of writing space either side down here, and you could put another piece of writing page there, but we want to put our pocket in here, so we'll make that next out of that leftover piece. And do it up that way. So we're just going to pop this piece in here. So how big do I need it? So I'm just measuring from fold to fold and cutting it slightly shy of that. Again, no measurements needed. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that to about 6. Or that is 2 2/4 of an inch, because we don't need a huge pocket. Then I'm going to pinch my pocket divot in the centre-ish, and I am going to round these corners. Give it a quick ink. And that's just a really standard pocket, so we just glue it down. Now I don't mind how wide that is, and I know in the original I actually put the pocket down first, and then I think I used washi tape in here, so it was quite a bit thinner. You can do that too. I just find it a lot harder to place it so that these match when you're trying to deal with washi tape that's kind of folding under. So that's why I've done it this way, so that's easier for us. So now we just need to make the outside tag and one for the inside as well. And usually I just make it, I think the one in the actual video was just out of an actual masterboard. It was very plain. It was just a nice square journaling card. It didn't have anything else on it, so that it lays on there nice and flat. So I might actually this time put some ephemera or something in there instead, maybe a letter or a postcard or something. If you do want to do it like the original, it did just have a square rounded edged on card, collaged, popped in there. Okay, so we've got some little bits and pieces. Now this guy here is just a piece of my inked paper, and I'll put the link in the description below where I show a full tutorial how to make that, because you might just want to use some other paper that you've got, because we cover it up mostly anyway. But I just got out my gel plate and I got my Distress inks and I put them on the gel plate, and then I got another one and tried to get in the areas where that one wasn't. I used ground espresso, gathered twigs, I think, no black soot in this one, and that's Rusty Hinge, that really rusty colour one. So, and then I just sprayed it with water, made sure I'd mixed in the borders of the squares from the Distress ink, and then I just lay the paper on top. So all I've done is cut a little piece that's going to fit our page. It is, you can cut it to whatever size you want. It's about 9.5 centimeters by about 14 centimeters. It's about the same size as a postcard. Well, it's very close to the same size as a postcard, so that will hopefully help you imperial people, because I don't have my ruler here right now. Now these two things here, or probably these three things, these label plates from Temu, this came, they had all sorts, and so I can't copy it unfortunately, so I'm just going to pop a picture of my Nan and Pop in there because I do have the copyright to that. I can do what I like with it. But these photos are quite cool. They are glossy, but I actually don't mind because they're negatives. So I've just cut this one off out of that set. It's the same one that was in the other journal. These are just little paper frames. They were like a light beigey colour, and I just spray painted them, so that's why they're brown. I just used Rust-Oleum hammered metal. I'll have a look to see what colour it was that I used, but it was just one of the darker brown ones. I'm not even sure if they make it anymore, to be fair. And then I've just got a whole lot of bits and pieces. So that's just a little bit of rust dyed linen. You could use just linen. You could use a piece of calico. You could tea dye and scrunch it up, or coffee dye and let it dry, and then you've got lots of little patterns on your calico. I've got just a few little scraps. That's mesh. I've got a little bit of cheesecloth. I've got a little bit of tea bag. Don't know if I'm going to use all these yet. We'll see how we go. That's what I'll probably use for the tag pull up the top. Just a little bit of random rough paper. That is, I did that a long time ago. That was just when I laid paper, stencil, sprayed rust water over it, sprayed coffee over it. That's where the black happens. More stencils, more paper, more spraying, and then I just let it dry over a very long time because of the layers. And so here we go. I did the first two journals, or Beloved and Devoted, and I thought, gosh, what am I going to name the third one? And I thought Together might be a nice one for this journal that we're making, which is going to go in the label plate, because not only are you together, you know, if you're in love or you're getting married, or, you know, you're devoted, but also we chose these pages together and we're making these together. So I thought that was, yeah, kind of a nice name for the journal. So I have scanned this little bit here because I did this on my actual typewriter. I haven't used a type font, and I just love the way, I mean, when you use a real typewriter, you get this randomness where some of the letters just type darker than the others, and they're just a little bit off. So yeah, in the Come Make With Me folder there will be that, and there will be a little picture of my Nan and Pop that you can use. Whether or not it's going to be the right size for your frames, I don't know. You might have to take it off and size it down if you know how to do that. You might have some of these at home already. You might have a little photo that you can use and print off already. You might have a digital of somebody else's that they did a whole lot of little cute photos that you could find in your stash, but it definitely doesn't have to be exactly what I'm using. Okay, so all I have done to this guy, I've put some fly paper, end page, blank one, glued it on the back so that it's not bright white, and I'm going to ink around the edges. And I'm just going to, I'll just show you a little bit because let's not learn how to watch paint dry. So I'm just going to ink around the edges, and then I'm going to grab my scissors. This is all very awkward. I've got my phone plugged in because it needs charging, etc. And then I'm just going to rough those edges up a little bit. There we go. See? Just like that. And then I'm going to go to my sewing machine, which if you've been here for a while, you know it's in my dark, dank, horrible garage that you don't want to come with me to. And just on a straight stitch with brown thread, I'm just going to really wonkily on purpose sew like 2 round twice around the edge, and then when I come back it will just have the stitching on it front and back. So yeah, I'll also ink this side obviously as well. Alright, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so before I get too carried away, that's my purposefully wonky stitching. Hopefully the light's enough in here. I might during the next one quickly turn on my other ring light. Now this here I bought, and if you just look up like recipe, this is the only place I could find it, recipe clear stamps on Temu. It comes with this, which I think is one of my most used stamps. Before we get too carried away about putting bulky stuff on the front, we need to sort that out because I want some lines on the back of this to write on. So I usually just check out how far across I need it. I don't want them too dark, so I don't actually put them on a cling stamp. I want them a little bit random, so and yeah, I don't make it perfectly even. There we go. Yep, I'm happy with that. If you like even lines perfectly stamped, then don't do it like me. Okay, next what we want to do is decide what piece we're going to use for the under of this guy. And the reason why I backed him originally is so that I can put the little brads through the fabric and then glue that on, and I don't have to worry about the brads needing to go right through the card to the other side. And I'm just going to rip, again quite purposefully uneven, because I want it to look like it was kind of ripped out of a book. And then I'm just going to make sure that it's little enough to fit in there, and I don't necessarily want it to fit perfectly either, so I don't mind if it's a bit bigger. Quickly just ink that so that it looks a little bit older. And the other thing I don't do is I don't put glue across the whole thing, because I kind of want it to stick up. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a line of glue through the center, not on the edges. And where do I want it? So I do want my label plate to line up with my fabric, but I'm not too fussed how that sits in there. So there you go, I'm happy with that. Now, just need to go and get out my brads, so while I do that, I might get us a little bit more light at the same time. Be back soon. So, now we have a little bit more light. So now I'm contending with a light in my way, the charger, which I might just take out because I keep bumping it and then bumping you guys, so hopefully the battery will last. And I've just got these little brads of mine. They're only about, I did try and measure them, they're only about 2 mil, okay? And I'm just going to see if I can stick that straight through there without having to use my awl. I might be being a bit hopeful, but we'll see if the weave will take it. I've had a bit of a rough week this week in terms of being busy at school, so you will also have to excuse the state that my nails are in. I'm usually a bit more onto it with that, but it's either nice nails or no video, because I haven't got the time to do both before I get this one up. So there we go. Now in the picture we do actually have just a few pieces to connect this to that, so we're not going to stick that on yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those negatives off. Hello, Needles. She's decided she doesn't actually like it when I'm filming, so usually when I've got the camera on, she takes off. Just stick that onto a piece of paper for now, because I'm pretty sure in the picture I've got a piece of muslin underneath that. So let's sort out our cluster. Just going to cut a really rough piece because I'm going to mess it up anyway. And these I have actually, they're not tea dyed. They are, again, almost exact same way that I made that, but instead of resting paper on them, I screwed up the muslin and the cheesecloth, and yeah, it dyed those for me. So I've got a whole lot of cool little variations of colour. One I did with the black soot, one I did with the gathered twigs, and they all gave me different colour browns for my muslin. I'm pretty sure... Yes, I saw Crafty Botoni say that she had done that, so that's where I got that little idea from. So I'm just going to re-cut around there. And what else are we going to use? Quite liked that little scrappy bit of paper that I found. I think it was actually, see that bit hanging off there? I think it actually might have been part of a doily. Because I don't want these to be completely separate. I do want them to link a little bit. Definitely like that big scrappy bit over that side. I'm pretty sure I had a bit of this on the last one as well, so I might just put him under there like that. Now let's see how our frame looks on top of that stuff. Yep, I am happy with that. Alright, so without losing everything's place again, just doesn't really matter if the glue shows through because that frame's going to sit over top of it. I'll just take that off. Chuck a bit of glue on there. And I want that to go underneath there. I don't think that's where that was, but that's alright. And then where were we going to? Can you stop moving? Maybe about there. So just really roughly, I haven't really thought about that too much. Then I'm going to put a decent amount of glue on the back of this. That little guy is going to go there. And now I've got to reposition. And I've also got a brown safety pin, which was on the last one as well, so I will put that on as well. So if we want it about there, and then I need to painfully glue this. And finally, I just popped my little safety pin through there. And I just felt that helped connect them just a little bit as well. There we go. So, last thing we've got to do is I've just got to locate my hole punch. I don't even know where to get these from. I think you can get them from stationery shops. It does have a little controller like your crocodile does. And I do not know what they're called either. So I just kind of make sure that it's central. That silver bit there is pretty much where it's punching. There you go. Maybe a slit punch. I'm not entirely sure. And then I'm just going to put a little piece of this through. Doesn't need to be too much. Chop that off. And then you could either just sew across there. You could just put a little bit of glue there and on the other side. Usually what I do is just a little bit of both of those. So I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of glue there, and then I'm going to get a double-sided rivet, a tiny little bit of glue there, just so that I can happily offset those rather than them having to be perfect. And then I need to find my rivets. I use these a lot. Oh, those are the other ones. So these are single-sided rivets. They don't have so double-sided rivets have those both sides. Single-sided rivets have those on one side and then a really nice flat back. Okay, I don't want those for this one. I want the ones that are double-sided. Again, definitely all my little hardware bits like this that are really generic, I do get off Temu. Yep, those fit. So there's your double-sided rivet, right? And sometimes they are called different things, but I know them as double-sided rivets for the leather. Okay, and then so this isn't actually doing anything other than looking cool, because we've already done the job with, whoops, our glue. I'm just going to pop that through there, and then you'll hear the click. There's one, and then you just get the pliers and you should hear the second click, and that flattens it. See, it's not as big now because it pushes it down past that second thing. You don't have to use those at all. I've just used it because it was on the original and you guys wanted to know how to make this one. It's not exactly the same, but it is pretty close, I've got to say. All right, so look at all this mess, Sara-Lee. Now this doesn't like going down in here, so sometimes I will just leave it like that so that it can be seen as well. Sometimes you can get it down a little bit further to about there, but either way that definitely holds her shut, and I am pretty stoked. That has come out pretty similar to the original, so hopefully that helps. All right, so now I've got to clean up all my mess. Just a little reminder, next week, after 10 episodes, we are going to now take just a 1 week break, and you won't miss out completely. I will come and I will show my little book treasure hunt that I did at the huge Red Cross book fair in Palmerston North. I've got like 3 hauls of it, so I'll do that one and have that up next Saturday, so it won't be a complete break. And then the week after that we will be back to making our love letters in lace, and that's right. If you don't want to do it that way, I actually in a gardening book managed to find the word together quite easily, and it was with growing together, so I thought, oh, maybe I'll just keep the growing part. So I mean, you could have put that in there as well once it was inked. You could put it down there. You could do whatever you like with it, but because a lot of things have companion plants, growing together is probably, or together is probably a nice easy word to find in a gardening book. But yeah, that was just from I'll show you this book better the next week, but I mean, whoop, upside down. I just on the first page, and it was just down there growing together, and I'll show you that book next week because that was my favorite find. So sneaky peek. All right, thank you for being with me. Whether you're just crafting along, whether you were just having a cuppa and or crafting your own thing and having me on in the background, I'm really happy that you were here and you spent some time with me. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Mā te wā.